Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is your friendly neighborhood Oxhorn, and I thought with this video I would answer a long-asked question, which is, Oxhorn, how do you install mods? So with this video, I'm going to try and make a really comprehensive tutorial/guide as to how I install mods. Now, I've done a little bit of research. I've looked for other guides online to see how they go about it, and so I'm going to try and provide you with something completely different, and I'm going to show you two ways. I'm going to show you the automatic way of installing mods using the Nexus Mod Manager, and then I'm going to show you the manual way of installing mods. The Nexus Mod Manager way really only works if you're downloading mods from Nexus Mods. The manual way will work regardless of where you download your mods, including Bethesda.net or any other place. The truth is, you really do need to understand how to install mods manually if you want to be successful with your modding experience in Fallout 4. So please stick around for the full video to make sure you understand. So let's go through the basics really quickly. So here we are in the Nexus Mod Manager, and this is the mod panel, and these are all of the different mods that I have installed. You can see in the bottom of the screen I have 361 total mods downloaded, 275 are installed, and only 270 are active. Using this manager, you can disable mods, uninstall mods, keep some installed but disabled. It can get fairly complex, but I'm going to try and make it as easy as possible. There are two aspects to modding: the actual mod and the plugin, which is basically the brain of the mod. Let's start with the mods here. So when you download a mod from Nexus Mod Manager, the download manager is going to start the download process, and once downloaded, you can install it by simply clicking on the mod that appears in the list, and then clicking the big green check mark that appears here in the panel on the left-hand side. Alternatively, you could right-click on it and choose Activate. They both work the exact same way. Once installed, what this tool does is it copies the plugin associated with the mod, if there is a plugin, into your Fallout 4 directory, and then it installs all of the models and textures in a temporary directory, making it easy for you to uninstall and reinstall mods without messing up your Fallout 4 gameplay. The problem with this method that Nexus Mods has chosen for their Nexus Mod Manager is sometimes the tool does not install the mod correctly. Usually what happens is you use Nexus Mod Manager to install your mod, you then log into the game, and half of the mod will work. You can find an item in the game, but when you try and equip it, the models don't appear, or it looks purple, or the functionality that went with it doesn't really work, and that's usually because the Mod Manager failed to correctly install the scripts, textures, or meshes necessary to get it to work. The Mod Manager always installs the plugin correctly, and it oftentimes installs BA2 files correctly, which are basically zipped files with all of the models and textures. But if you're downloading a mod that has loose textures and loose meshes, I have found in my personal experience that the Nexus Mod Manager has a hard time installing it. And that's why we also need to understand how to install these mods manually. But let's finish with the Mod Manager first. So, once you install the mod, you see this big green check mark next to the mod showing you that it has been installed correctly. And there are a number of different ways that you could manipulate this. Let's say you just want to turn it off, but you don't want to completely uninstall it. Just click it and hover over here and click Disable. That's going to disable the mod, but it's going to keep all of the files on your computer and inside the install directory so that you can very easily and quickly re-enable it without messing up your gameplay experience. Another way is to go on over to the Plugins tab and deselect a plugin that you want to turn off. Now you'll notice something here. I deselected the Armor Keywords plugin, and then these plugins turned orange. That means that these 5 different plugins, each of these plugins represents a different mod, they were dependent upon this one to work. So by turning this one off, I have turned off all of these. You also need to bear in mind the load order. Plugins that are at the very top of the list are loaded first. We see that Fallout 4.esm is the very first thing loaded because obviously you need the base Fallout 4 game to be loaded before you can load everything else. Plugins that are at the bottom of the list are the last things loaded. The way the game works is it tends to overwrite previous instructions that come with plugins with instructions that come with later plugins. And by that, what I mean is that if this plugin gives the game a direction, but this plugin gives the game a conflicting direction, the game is going to go with the directions that this plugin gave because it was loaded last. So you can overwrite the functionality of other plugins by simply loading the plugin that you want to work last in your load order. And sometimes these plugins don't really work with each other, so it could take some experimentation of turning plugins off and turning plugins on to see how your game reacts if you've got way too many mods installed like I do. Now, most of you won't have a total of 361 mods installed like I do, so you might not have to deal with this. But I just wanted to show you this section, the plugin section, because this is a useful tool for organizing the load order of your mods and for turning mods on and off. If you ever want to change your load order, you can just click on one of the plugins and then click the down arrow to move it down one, or the up arrow to move it up one. You could also drag it down one or drag it up one. And you can even select many of them by holding Control and dragging the lot of them up or down. I have found that by selecting more than one and dragging them up and down, it can sometimes not process the new order correctly. So I prefer to just drag one at a time up and down the list. So you've got the plugin installed, but you've decided you no longer want the plugin. You don't want to use it anymore. Let me show you how to uninstall it. Just bear in mind that if you do uninstall the plugin, especially if you delete all the files associated with it, you could damage your game save, but I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. So here we are with Immersive Vendors. This is a mod that I really enjoyed for a long time, but I discovered that it made my settlements really laggy. So I'm going to uninstall it. You can see that I've already disabled it. I clicked the disable button and you click the little red mark that appears here, this button, that disables the plugin. Alternatively, you could right click, go to deactivate, and that'll turn it red like this. To uninstall it, right click, go to uninstall or delete, and then you have two options. You can uninstall it from all active profiles, or you could uninstall it from all profiles. A profile is basically a saved mod configuration that you can create a profile for. I don't use that feature, so when I uninstall, I always choose uninstall from all profiles. So let's click that. Now when you're ready to completely delete it from your machine, right click on it, go to uninstall or delete, and choose delete mod permanently. You get a nice little warning here. And then just understand that you're absolutely deleting everything related to this mod from your machine and choose yes. That removes it from your game. Now, remember earlier I said that sometimes Nexus Mod Manager does not install your mods correctly? I'm going to show you what I do to make sure that my mods are installed correctly. The first thing I do is I install the mod using Nexus Mod Manager. That correctly installs the ESP, and it places a nice entry here in my mod manager just so that I can have it as a visual reference of keeping track of the mods that I have installed. I'll go on over to the plugins section to make sure that it's at the end of my load order, if it's a new plugin or if it's a plugin that I think is going to conflict with others, or I'll drag it up to be grouped with plugins like it. For example, I tend to group all texture plugins close together. Here you can see I have Eleonora's accessories, Eleonora's rugged outfits. I've got outfit and costume plugins over here in this section kind of grouped together. For settlement building, I have settlement building plugins grouped together as well. That's just how I organize this. But then, after I'm done organizing my plugins in here, and after I'm done organizing all of my installed mods here, I then install the mod manually as well. Let me show you how I do that. Okay, I have two folders open before you. This left-hand side is my downloads folder. It's a mod in my downloads folder, and this right-hand side is the Fallout 4 directory. And I'm going to show you how to do this manually. So here's the mod I downloaded off of the Nexus. It's called Keylerator, and it comes with two different files. The plugin, which is keylerator.esp, and the BA2 file called Keylerator main. This BA2 file basically has all of the different meshes, textures, materials, and scripts necessary to make this ESP work. Here's how you install it. When you're in the Fallout 4 folder, here, let me actually show you where you can find the Fallout 4 folder. So I'm going to go to my hard drive, which is N, Steam Library, Steam Apps, Common, choose Fallout 4, and now we're in the Fallout 4 folder. From here, double-click on Data. This is where you're going to install all of your mods. And if you scroll down, you see that I have a lot of .esps installed. These are all of the plugins necessary to get my mods to work. And it's really easy to manually install mods. Simply copy the plugin and the BA2 file from the folder that you downloaded from Nexus and paste it into your data folder. And there they are. Keylerator main.ba2 keylerator.esp. Both the plugin and the plugin's files are now installed correctly. Now, if plugin load order is a concern for you, you really do have to install the mod using Nexus Mod Manager first before you use this method, because that's going to correctly install the .esp. If all you're doing is installing this mod manually using the method that I just showed you, then after you copy everything into here, you'll need to open Nexus Mod Manager so that it reloads your plugin list, and then drag your plugin to the order that you need. That's the best way I can think of to make sure that your plugin load order is going to be correct. But that's only if you haven't already done that. So that was nice and easy, right? Well, it's going to get a little bit more complicated, because the thing that made this nice and easy is that all of the loose files for the mod were packaged in this BA2 file, which basically functions as a zip file. If the mod author does not package them all in a BA2 file, then that makes your job a little harder installing the mod. It also makes it harder to uninstall the mod if you ever choose to no longer use it. Because the way that you uninstall the mod is super easy. Just select the two files that you want to get rid of, hold Shift, press Delete. Are you sure? Yes. Bam. They're completely gone from your data folder. And that uninstalls the mod. Now bear in mind that if you load a game save that was dependent upon a mod that you just uninstalled, you could corrupt that game save. And what I mean by that is every single time you save your game, Fallout 4 looks to all of the different mods that you have installed, and it saves a reference to those mods in the actual save game file. Sometimes when you uninstall a mod, it can confuse Fallout 4, which means that you can no longer load up your previous game save once the plugin is uninstalled. It's happened to me before, and it's a huge bummer. The only way to get around that is to load a previous game save before you installed that mod. So the way I go about making sure that I don't corrupt my game saves is I test out plugins thoroughly before I choose to use it in my regular gameplay. I'll install a mod exactly as I just showed you, I'll load up my game, and then I'll go to cities, I'll go to interior cells, I'll play with it, I'll craft the resources, I'll put on the outfits, I'll play with the new guns or whatever, really test them out to make sure I like them, and if I don't like them, I don't save that game. I then uninstall the mod and load the game save that I made before I installed that mod, before I tested it. That's the only way I go about making sure that I never corrupt my game saves. Okay, so let's say that your mod does not come with a handy BA2 file. Well, I'll show you how to go about installing that mod too. Here we are inside Carbot. This is a mod that I recently reviewed that gave you a nice fun car to drive. And you see that it comes with 4 different folders: materials, meshes, scripts, and textures. These 4 folders are basically what were inside the BA2 file. So here's an example of a mod that comes with a BA2 file. Inside this BA2 file is basically all of this: materials, meshes, scripts, and textures, or whatever the mod needed to run. Since these aren't packaged in a nice handy BA2 file, we have to install them manually. Scroll up, and you're going to see that inside your data folder, you have all of those 4 folders: materials, meshes, scripts, and textures. Now, many mods are simple texture replacers. Mods that are simple texture replacers have little to no chance of ever corrupting your game save or harming your game in any way. If it's a simple texture swap, then all you got to do is copy the texture folder that's in your game and then paste it into your data folder, Control V, and bam. See how this texture folder updates? Things get more complicated when you're installing materials, meshes, and scripts. You install them the exact same way. Select them, hold Control C to copy, go into your data folder, hold Control V to paste, and bam, you see that materials, meshes, and scripts are now inside. So the mod is now completely installed, and that's fine. You can load up Fallout 4 and you can go ahead and play the game. The problem comes when you want to uninstall it, because now the only way that you can uninstall it, since you manually installed these, is to go into the folders and manually delete them, and I'll show you how to do that. So the way that I go about it is I just look at the folder that I downloaded from Nexus mods, and I just go through the process again. So materials, okay, so I'm going to go into materials, and the two files that I installed were modern and gen BGSM. There's gen BGSM. I'm going to shift delete to get rid of that, and then modern Chrome, Glassy, Motorcycle, PA, Jack, and Red. Okay, so these 6 files only came from this mod, and that tells me that I can safely delete the modern folder, because that means I'm only deleting materials that came with this particular mod. Meshes are what give models in the game shape. They're the things that you wrap textures around to make a gun or a creature look good. And now I have to go through and delete the meshes that came with this. So let's double click on meshes in my download folder, double click on meshes in my install folder. And first is actors. Now I have a lot of actors installed because I have a lot of mods installed. And let's take a look at auto ibot. Okay, we've got again 6 different files, and they seem to only be the ones that came with this mod. So now I know that I can safely delete the entire auto ibot folder. Character is going to be different. So I'm going to double click. Wow, look at all of these character files I have in here. I got to make sure I don't mess anything up. Character assets. Holy cow. All right, so we've got 2 auto power armor. So I should delete those 2. And then 1 skeleton. I should delete that one. All right, so back to meshes, because that wasn't the only one. We've got auto add-ons, and I'm pretty sure that only came with this mod, so I'll delete that entire folder. Then there's Automathrone. I'm very certain that only came with this mod, so I'm going to delete the entire Automathrone folder. And auto race, pretty sure that that only came with this mod, so let's see. Yep. All right, so I'm going to delete the entire auto race folder. And there we go. I've fully uninstalled all of the meshes that came with this mod. Now we got to do scripts. Scripts are dangerous. Scripts are the bits of code that tell the game how the mod is supposed to work. And if I delete the wrong script, I could completely break my game. So I got to be careful. So these are the 4 different scripts that I installed. I need to make sure that I only delete these 4. Autobot call alias, Autobot extras. I think that's going to be easy enough. So let's scroll down, find Autobot call alias, Autobot extra scripts, shift, delete. All right, call auto whistle. All right, I'll go ahead and delete that one. Mount dismount script. Let's see if we can find the mount dismount script. Mount dismount script. Bingo. Okay, so now my scripts are uninstalled. That leaves just the textures. Let's go into textures. And at this point, if you're only dealing with textures, you're going to be pretty safe. So let's go to, looks like the first texture is effects. Let's go to effects. And looks like this is the only effect texture that was installed by this mod. But look at all of these other texture effects that I have installed. I want to make sure that I only delete bits, glowy bits. Bits, glowy bits. Bingo. Okay. Next up is modern. Let's go to modern. Where is modern? There's modern. Ooh, looks like this entire folder just came from modern. 11 items in this folder and 11 items in this folder. So I need to delete the entire modern folder. So holding shift, press delete. There we go. Set dressing is the next one. Let's go to set dressing. Now there's a lot of set dressing. Look at all of this set dressing stuff I have installed. A lot of the mods that you install have stuff that you put in the set dressing folder, especially if you install settlement building mods. So, but it looks like the only one I need to delete is Memory Lounge. So let's go on down to Memory Lounge. And yep, that's the only one I need to delete. So we're going to click Memory Lounge, Shift Delete. And let's verify that that was the same file. Yes, that was the same file. Okay, let's go to Shared. Down to Shared. Cube Maps was a folder I installed with this. Looks like this cube map was already in there, but let's make sure that the two files in there are exactly the same, and they are. So let's go back one, and then delete the entire cube maps folder. And that, ladies and gentlemen, should be it. Make sure we go. Whoops. There we go. Okay. So, alright, I fully uninstalled this mod that I just installed. You can see how it can get a little tricky over time. As you install mods, your data folder gets really large. All of the different mods can sometimes conflict with each other. So it can get tricky installing them manually, which is why tools like the Nexus mod manager exist to try to reduce the risk of ruining your game by playing with mods. But if you understand how the mods are installed, if you understand how the bits and pieces work together, then you can safely navigate through these different folders when installing and uninstalling mods to make sure that you have ultimate control over your modding experience with Fallout 4. Well, I hope that this was useful. I think I covered absolutely everything. If you have another question about installing or uninstalling mods, please let me know in the comments below. This is just how I go about doing it. I'm not going to pretend that I know everything about it. I'm certainly not a mod author, and I'm kind of new to this myself. I just started using mods for Fallout 4 like 3 or 4 months ago, so I'm certainly no veteran, but this is how I go about doing it, and so far it's been working for me. I'd love to get your feedback in the comments below, so let me know your thoughts, and I'll do my very best to answer any and all of your questions. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like this video, please subscribe for more tutorials, how-to videos, lore videos, and a variety of other videos that I produce here on this channel. Thank you so very much, and I'll see you very soon.